Hey baby, hey baby. Welcome to Lopez Power Lopez YouTube channel. Today, I am going to review Batman Begins. Now I'm going to do the rest of the Batman movies. I've already reviewed the Tim Burton movies all the way down to Batman and Robin. And now I'm going to do Batman Begins. And getting in a little preparation for Batman v Superman, which is I think is interesting. I might talk about that later. But Batman Begins is an interesting movie. It really is an interesting comic book movie because it kind of redefined the superhero genre again. Like after Batman Begins, everyone wanted to be serious, pretty much. Like, when the Tim Burton Batman came out, like everyone tried, not really everyone wanted to be serious superhero movies after that, although that's considered the first serious superhero movie. And like, we got good campy superhero movies like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. I know some people might like them, but I personally think they're classics. And that early X-Men movies were kind of campy, and they were pretty good. But the campy. So okay, for a long time, superhero movies were dead after Batman and Robin pretty much killed superhero movies. Um, what kind of brought back is the modest success of X-Men and the huge success of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. That pretty much brought back superhero movies. For a while, superhero movies were like dead. There was like a period from 97 to, like comic book superhero movies, um, like big comic book, like Superman, Batman, Daredevil, Spider-Man, X-Men, like big comic book superhero movies were dead from a period of like 98 to like 2001. In between that period, comic book movies were, considered a dead art form. Now, Batman Begins was the movie that revived Batman. Batman was pretty much dead for, again, from about 97 to 2005. In movies, anyway. Batman was dead. He had a huge success on the TV series, Batman the Animated Series, and the new Batman Adventures, and Batman Beyond. That was pretty much the only existing mediums other than the comic book for Batman stories to be seen. So, all no one really even considered making a Batman movie for long periods of time. Like they even canceled. They're gonna make another Joel Schumacher Batman movie, Batman Triumphant. It was gonna have Nicolas Cage as the Scarecrow. Jack Nicholson was gonna return as the Joker, from as a hallucination from the Scarecrow's fear toxins. Batman George Clooney would have reprised his role. Um, it would have had Harley Quinn. Robin would become Nightwing. Chris O'Donnell would become Nightwing. From what I've heard about Batman Triumphant, actually Schumacher's original wanted to prove to the audience that he could do a serious Batman movie. So I heard Batman Triumphant was actually going to be a return to style, a good serious Batman movie, like a return to style to like the Tim Burton movies. But it was canned after the bad uh, critical reaction of Batman and Robin. And Batman and Robin is the second lowest grossing Batman film to date. The only one that's lower grossing is Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which again is another classic. But that's, if you want to hear more about that, just watch my review of that movie. But Batman and Robin's actually still did pretty good at the box office, but it was like it killed Batman for a long period of time in the movie form. Anyway, we still had the animated series and comic book, adaptions, but for long periods of time it was gone. Um, Batman Begins brought it back though, and I can see why. And it pretty much reinvented the superhero movies because after Batman Begins, we wanted a serious take on Spider-Man. We wanted in the Dark Knight. We wanted a serious take on Superman. We wanted a serious take on Daredevil. And I know that's a TV show, but we wanted a serious take on what's that movie? Not Fantastic Four. The Marvel superhero movies aren't really dark, but they deal more with serious issues, political issues, that really started with Batman Begins, like like police issues and stuff like that. Now, Batman Begins, is a great movie. It's I don't know. It's definitely one of the best Batman movies. For a while, this was the best Batman movie, like for a long period of time, until The Dark Knight, which is another topic. The Dark Knight is pretty much one of the best, not just one of the best superhero movie ever made. It's one of the best movies ever made. But Batman Begins is definitely up there. Not just in Batman movies, but in superhero movies. I like it a little better. I know a lot of people are going to get me for this, but I like it better than the 89 movie because this is the Batman that, when I read the comics, this is the Batman that I think would be. This is what I think the true Batman is. And I tell you why is because they give Batman an interesting character. Now, I'm not saying the other Batman movies weren't interesting, but this is Batman Begins, and even the later Christopher Nolan movies kind of suffer from this. Batman is actually not the most interesting character. The villain always steals the show from Batman in a lot of movies, even in the bad ones like Batman Robin, Batman Forever. The villain always steals the show from Batman. And this is the first Batman movie where, with maybe the exception of Mask of Phantoms, but live action anyway, where Batman is the most interesting character. The villains don't steal the show. And it's not to say the villains are bad, they're very good villains, but they give more time for Batman. It gives us more time to see Batman as a character. It doesn't really, cut back and forth from villain to hero like a lot of movies do. Actually, there's big gap in the movie where you don't see the villain for a long time. Like, the bad guy in the movie is pretty much in the beginning and the end. Like, he's nowhere to be seen in the middle. The secondary villain, the Scarecrow, is kind of in it, but he's only in it for a little bit. And he's kind of, but the villain of the movie, Ra's al Ghul, played great by Liam Neeson, is only in the beginning and the end of the movie. and I like it. I like that style of Batman where it focuses more on Batman. I think it's because it's more of an origin story that we get that. But why not with all Batman movies? And, don't get me wrong. I think that's one aspect that Batman Begins gets actually better than The Dark Knight is Batman. I think and I know it's the same Batman, same version, same everything, actor, but the way they developed Batman in this movie, I think, is the best it's ever done in live action. Actually, maybe even a little better than movie like Mask of the Phantasm. But Batman Begins, it's a different type of Batman. It is a superhero Batman, but he's more like cop ninja Batman. He's not like the other incarnations of Batman. I mean, he is mysterious, but we know more about him than we do the other Batmans. And I think that makes us care more for him. Like the Michael Keaton Batmans. The only thing about that movie, and a lot of people might see it as a positive, but I think that Batman Begins, what it does is even though it shows Batman in a more theatrical light, like a more open, not theatrical, I don't know why. I'm getting Ra's al Ghul's theatricality, language into my head. More a more understanding Batman, I guess I should say. It's because we know him more as Bruce Wayne. This is one of the only Batman movies where we focus a lot on Bruce Wayne. We get to know Bruce Wayne, then we get to know Batman. A lot of movies, you don't really, Batman movies, I should say, you don't really care about Bruce Wayne. You do, but that's not the interesting parts of the movie. Interesting parts of the movie are with Batman. That's the part we want to see. This movie, even though, again, the part we want to see is Batman, Bruce Wayne stuff is as interesting, if not more interesting, than Batman stuff. Bruce Wayne is really developed good in this movie. He gets a lot of screen time. Again, similar to how we don't see the villain until the end, we don't get Batman until like almost 3/4 of the way of the movie. And a lot of people could look at that as a negative thing. Like if Bruce Wayne kind of sucked and the other stuff wasn't that interesting, I probably wouldn't have a problem with it. But the other stuff is so darn interesting that I actually might rather see more of the Bruce Wayne stuff than the Batman stuff. The way they portrayed it makes it very portrayed Bruce Wayne makes him very not necessarily relatable, but understandable. So we understand him better as Batman. Like the other movies, we never really got into why he chose to become Batman. I know some things are better left to the imagination, but it's hard for us to care, in my opinion, than like, say, Michael Keaton. And I'm not bashing on Keaton. I think the Keaton Batmans are great. But, I don't, it doesn't relate quite as well with me because, you don't know where he got the suit. You don't know why you want to become Batman. What's the thought process of becoming Batman? How he learned martial arts? Where the hell he gets his technology? He's just automatically habits because I guess he's just rich, But no one questions it. This movie, shows, he owns Wayne Enterprises, so he owns the weapons technology area, so he gets all his weapons from his own company. That makes much more sense. It doesn't. I guess that could go for the other movies, but they don't say it, so you're kind of like baffled. You're just kind of guessing. So this movie, I think the way they do it is perfect. Liam Neeson is great in this movie. In the beginning of the movie, he's almost a good guy until before the gap where he disappears, he's the bad guy. But he's a good mentor. It's very interesting. You never see a movie, Batman, whatever, where the mentor becomes the villain. I think that's very interesting. It's kind of like, you're facing kind of like your what made you become this. And even though this is what made you become this, should you continue on with its path, or do you make your own moral judgments? And I think, it's very interesting how the mentor becomes the bad guy. The villain's motivation is very interesting in this movie. It's kind of a typical, destroy Gotham, but at least it's not like destroy the world. I'm gonna take over the universe. It's a little more simple. Hold on a minute. Let me just get my plug. Mother! 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 Could you quickly drop my plug? It's in front of the TV. It's in front of the chair. Quick. Quick. Okay. Sorry about that. My computer was uh was kind of cutting there. So anyway, the Batman in this movie is more relatable because we understand I mean, understandable. I get that we're confused. Not that we can't relate to the character. I mean, I do, but understandable because we understand Bruce Wayne better. He's more developed and he's interesting. Bruce Wayne is great and played by Christian Bale amazingly. In my opinion, is the definitive Batman. I know I'm going a lot of people who support Conroy and Keaton, and those are great Batmans. But to me, I think Christian Bale is the true Batman because you really dive into his psychology. This Batman has the most interesting motivation, I think, out of all of them. The most interesting backstory, the most engaging backstory, the most engaging story as Batman. Um, and the villain. It's not to say that the villains are bad or they just take a back seat. It's just that they try to develop more Batman, make us understand him better than the villains. Now the villains are good. Liam Neeson's great. Scarecrow, I think is fine. I think they could have done a little better. I think they should have had. I think Batman should have been the one that fought the Scarecrow and destroyed him, not Rachel Dawes. The only flaw in this movie is the Scarecrow. And it's not that he was betrayed badly, it's because how they delivered him, because at the end he just gets zapped and he's over with by Rachel. I think it would have been better for Batman to fight him at the end. Again, I'm kind of quoting James Rolfe. I think it would have been gave it more of a dramatic feel and I think it would have been more necessary for Batman to finish him off than Rachel, because remember, Batman was the one that got burned by him and kind of, didn't really defeat him in a fight. I think it would have been an interesting confrontation. But when he fought Ra's al Ghul on the train, it's just so much emotions there, because it's a mentor against teacher, and it has more of an emotional impact that way. Let me go to Christopher Nolan's style in this movie. Now, it's different from Tim Burton's style, because Tim Burton was more dark and serious, but it kind of had like an artistic, kind of gothic style to it. Whereas this movie it does have a style, but it's more of a grounded realism style. Okay, so now, I'm going to say this, where I think there's a difference between Tim Burton's Batman, in style anyway, and Nolan's Batman, Michael Keaton and Christian Bale's Batman, is even though Tim Burton's Batman is serious, it's not really realistic. There's still some pretty goofy parts in it. This Batman is realistic. It's not the closest. It's the closest that Batman gets to our reality. It's the closest, and it's more realistic and serious than just serious. But the realism is its style. So, I love the style to not just Batman movies, to movies in general. Like the new Daredevil show, I think captured this style great. It's realism it's serious and realistic than just serious with an artistic view in it, because the Tim Burton movies, even though they're serious, they still have their things that are kind of far from reality. This one does have some things far than reality, but it's closer to our reality. And I think this and the Netflix Daredevil not the Affleck one, the TV show with what's his name? I forget the Netflix one. I forget the guy who played Daredevil's name, but that's not important. This show, movie. Sorry, because we were talking about Daredevil. This movie, this movie has a really interesting style to it because it's more realistic. So that's all I'll say about that. The score is great. The score is so good by Hans Zimmer. It just gets you pumped up. It just makes you want to lift weights, become look into your soul type of thing. It's just such a great score. Um, what else is there about? Okay, this movie, in my opinion, has the best training montage in any movie. The just you'll find it on YouTube if you haven't seen the movie. The will to act, that is the best. It's short, but it's powerful because it's got that cool Christopher Nolan realistic atmosphere, along with that cool Hans Zimmer music, and with cool quotes and training in it. It's just I actually like the training montage better than Rocky, but I know they're completely different movies. But this, in my opinion, this is the best training montage in any movie ever. It's pretty much the training montage that inspired me to work out, kind of thing, even more than Rocky did. And man, is it just such? It's short, but it's powerful. Great training montage. I'm not sure if anybody acknowledged that in any reviews of this movie, but the training montage for Batman Begins, the will to act, so great. Great sword fighting choreography. Um, Interesting backstory with Batman becoming, the League of Shadows. He pretty much becomes a ninja. That explains how he became a great fighter, though. I mean, he was a great fighter became before he was in the League of Shadows, but got a little cleaned up and perfected along the way. So that's awesome, because I always wondered, again, other than the animated series where Batman gets his fighting. I know in the anime it's jujitsu, but like, how does Keaton become a great fighter? How the hell did Adam West become a good fighter? How did Val Kilmer? I know they're technically considered the same universe as Keaton, but how did Val Kilmer become a good fighter? This explains it. I hope they kind of explain that too. I hope they give us a little backstory in Batman vs Superman, like how he gets the technology, not like the whole thing, and how he learned to fight and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, I love Batman Begins. I think I kind of reinvented the style for superhero movies to come in the superhero format, whether it was TV shows, comics, or movies. A different take, but powerful, emotional, and understandable, and realistic take on Batman. This is how I describe the movie: emotional, powerful, realistic style. That's kind of how I kind of give this movie. Again, negatives. I wish Batman would have had an ending fight with the Scarecrow. Not to say you shouldn't have. I think they should have had two. One with the Scarecrow, and then you'd go back to get Ra's al Ghul. Um, but other than that, I think it was pretty good. Oh yeah, another thing is how Bruce Wayne's relationship with his parents, and even Mask the Phantasm. You had the TV show to kind of understand that, but in movie, we never got to see his understand with his parents, the story with his parents. And again, that helps us understand Batman, which makes him a little more relatable, and we root for him more, and we're more invested in him because we know the emotional impact his father had on him. Um, you know, kind of it really develops. It's kind of quick, but it shows a good amount of his relationship with his parents, and you would understand why he would feel bad for his parents' death. Um, it even gives us insight onto the character who killed Batman's parents. Um, Interesting take on it. I really think it's interesting. I don't know if Batman versus Superman will do it quite as good as this. I don't know. Um, I give this movie an A plus. I give this movie a 9.5 out. I give it about an A, actually. I give it about a 9.5 out of 10. Actually, no, a 10 out of 10, A plus. Dark Knight surprisingly was better than this. I'm not going to say it's a lot better than Batman Begins, but it is a better movie. Batman Begins is the groundwork for all the next Batman movies to come. Great movie. 4 out of 4 stars. 10 out of 10. Um, A+. So that's my review on Batman Begins. I might review The Dark Knight or In Dark Knight Rises. And again, on Batman vs. Superman, it looks awesome. I think it's a little too soon for a new version of Batman. I kind of wish they would have done more of Superman's story than Batman's story. I kind of wish they would have done a Man of Steel trilogy. Like we would have had the Dark Knight trilogy and the Man of Steel trilogy. One for Batman, one for Superman. I think that would have been great. I think they should wait at least 10, 12 years for a Batman reboot. Because I think it's a little too soon. I think they're honestly rebooting superhero movies sooner than needed, because Batman Begins was 8 years after Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin was a really bad movie, so I can understand them rebooting it. But I think they're rebooting superhero movies too soon. Like, I thought they rebooted Spider-Man too soon with Andrew Garfield, and I think they're rebooting it again way too soon. It just makes kind of the companies look kind of greedy. It kind of makes us tired, fatigued on Superman and Batman and Spider-Man. Well, actually, I thought it was the great time to redo Superman. I thought a good enough years have passed for us doing Superman. But I think it's too soon to do another Batman movie with a new actor. Anyway, I think it's too soon for another Spider-Man. I think they're just redoing superheroes a little too soon. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Batman Begins. So take care, see you in the next review, and God bless ya.